stories.
Right.
What do you say, Nick?
So prior to the interview, you know what we'll do, Dana, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind as
Okay.
long as.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Can you get that, George?
Not yet, he's rolling bars.
Okay.
Okay. Today, May 10th, 1995, the testimony by Francis Shilkoff, interviewed by Dana Schwartz in Los Angeles, California, United States of America, language English.
This is Dana Schwartz, and today we are interviewing Francis Shilkoff, Vanya, right, who is from Poland and who has amazing stories to tell about many concentration camps and a lot of difficulties which she was able to survive. So we're interested in this interview. Francis, would you tell us your name and where and when you were born?
I was born in Poland in 1926.
What city?
The city of Grodno. And
You forgot your name. Give
oh,
us your name.
my maiden name is Kabran.
Kabran.
My
Fanya Kabran.
My first name is Fanya, and my second name is Kabran.
Okay.
I lived with my parents and 2 sisters and 2 brothers. Where it was okay having a family.
Do you remember your grandparents at all, Fanya?
I had one grandmother.
You had a grandma. Was it your mother's or your
It
father's?
was my mother's mother. And we were very happy being a family.
Did she live in your house?
My grandmother lived with us. And my father was very nice to all of us, and he was very good to my grandmother, even if it wasn't his mother. And my mother was very nice. She was a very lovable person.
What did your father do for a living?
My father was a tailor. And then, you know, my older sister was already married around that time. I had a little boy. He was my nephew. Life was pretty good, just sometimes you were afraid to go in the streets.
What do you mean?
Like in 1935, we had a pogrom where my uncle went and they beat him up and he laid in the street pretending he was dead. And then the Red Cross came and picked him up and put him in the hospital. And they had to come and tell my grandmother that her son was wounded. And then she couldn't believe it. So then they had to take her to the hospital to see him, and then she was feeling okay because he was still alive. Going to school there was special when it was a holiday. They were beating us up. No matter if you were 3 years old or 5 years old, as long as they knew you were a Jew. The Polish people were very bad. They were horrible. People were afraid to go in the streets. They couldn't stand when the Jewish people had a few dollars more than they had or lived in a better place. Life was terrible. Just being home with your own parents and your brother and sister made it a little bit better.
What were their names, your brother and sister?
I had my older sister. Her name was Peppy, and she was the one that was married. And I had a sister that was 5 years younger, and her name was Ethel. And then I had a brother that was 2 years younger. His name was Yankel. And I had a brother Aaron, and he was 2 years younger, and I was the baby.
So you were well taken care of, huh?
Yes, I was the baby, and I thought that
You were the boss.
I was the boss.
And did they listen to you, really?
I guess so, because when I wanted something, I got it.
Ah,
I
so
was
you
my
were
father's favorite.
spoiled little girl.
Spoiled, yeah.
But you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. When a holiday came and we were all sitting by the table, special Pesach, and I'll never forget when my mother told me a story that her sister went to the United States and she went through China. She and a friend, and one of them was killed. And both mothers, my grandmother and the other mother of the other daughter, didn't know which one is dead. And this was Pesach, 5 years later. When they opened the door for Ellen, Eliyahu, and there comes a man with a letter from my aunt. And this was Pesach. She was.
She was the one she thought they thought
They
was
didn't
dead.
know which one was dead. And this was something, whenever she used to tell me, I used to cry. And then I met my aunt here in the United States, and she told me the same story.
Do you remember the story clearly?
I remember clearly because my mother told me that same story. And when I came to the States, my aunt told me the same story.
So what was the story?
The other woman was killed. She was smuggling drugs. They went through China. And my grandmother told her daughter, my aunt, not to do anything wrong. You don't need the money. This way you'll come safe to the United States. And she listened to her. She gave her good advice. And then I met her here in the States. When I saw her, I saw my mother. They looked so much alike, like something precious. And my aunt was precious to me because she did a lot for me.
Mm-hmm. So let's go back to Grodno. So you liked living there, and you liked the family, but you didn't like the way the non-Jews treated you.
Right.
And your uncle was beaten up.
That's right.
In 1935?
In 1935, there was a pogrom.
And you went to school. Did you go to a Polish school or to a Jewish school?
No, it was a Jewish school. Just they taught us Polish, just like it would be a Polish school.
But the children in it were
most of them. I think all of them were Jewish children.
Did you want to go to a Polish school, or did you wish?
No, I didn't. See, whatever my parents told me, I felt that it was all right with me because they were my parents and I listened to them. So I didn't mind going just sometime, on a holiday, on their holidays. They used to beat us up and we used to walk to school.
Especially on what holidays?
On the Goyish holidays.
On the Christian holidays?
Yes, they were taking some little trees and slamming us over the lakes. And that was their holiday to do something like this to the Jews. I don't know why they did it. Just that's what they did. And life was, outside the home life was bad. You had to watch every step you get. Looking always in the back to see if anybody's behind you. Just at home, we were a happy family.
Did your father just do business with the Jews, or did he also do business with the...
I think he did some business with Gentile people. Just see the people that came into our house, they were okay.
So your father worked at home?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So they would come and he would make suits for them?
Yes, coats and suits. So life wasn't bad.
Where did he learn this? Did his father before him
I don't
do the
know.
same thing?
I don't know. See, in Europe, the kids don't ask no questions. They listen to their parents. And they don't answer back. And my parents were like this. And we kids didn't know any better. Because we trusted our parents. So
So you didn't ask questions.
nobody asked questions.
Do you know anything about his parents?
No, because his parents, when I was born, his parents were dead already. Now my grandfather from my mother's father, he was a very religious Orthodox Jew. And he constantly was in the temple. That's what my mother told me. He prayed from morning till night. He had a white beard. And they told me that he was some nice person. Just I never met him because he was dead before.
Who made a living for that family?
My father?
No, your father made a living for his father?
No. See, I don't remember too much.
It wasn't your grandmother then that was in business?
No.
If he was in synagogue all day, who did the work?
I really don't know, because they were dead when I was born, and I never did ask any questions.
Do you know what your brothers wanted to become when they grew up?
See, they went to the yeshiva. So we really didn't discuss because it was so close. 1939, the war broke out, and we didn't discuss. We were happy to have something to eat. So nobody discussed what I want to be. We were just looking to survive.
But before 1939, was there a certain time when you felt that things changed?
Not really.
Nothing
really.
changed for the worse in the 30s?
Just that we were afraid sometimes to walk the streets. Just we had nice parents, and they were very good to us. See, I don't know, today parents here are different than my parents were. My parents cared for all the kids, and a child was able to come and talk to their parents. My parents were always home with us. We were never alone. So they knew what each one was doing.
Did you live in a mostly Jewish place?
Right, most of them were Jewish people. Maybe a few Gentile, just most of them were Jewish. We lived not far from quite a few temples.
Did you play with each other on the street or at each other's houses?
Oh, we played in the streets, in the homes. Just, I was a happy child. I was very happy being with my parents and my brothers and sisters. And everybody was nice. Till that horrible day that came around in 1939.
Do you remember that day?
I sure do. I remember so clearly.
Describe it.
When the planes were coming around and bombing. And then all of a sudden they said that the Russians are coming in here. So we were happy to see the Russians coming in because life got easier. It was hard to get food. We stayed in line all the time. Just, you weren't afraid to go in the streets.
So when the Russians came, was there bombing or?
In the beginning, not after. When they came in, because Hitler made with Stalin a pact, that they're going to take this side of Poland and Hitler's going to take the other side. I don't know how to explain it.
Yes, they
So
took the eastern part, and the Germans took the western part.
And for the next 2 years, life was much easier. We were able to go to school. We were able to work, whoever had to work. We were not scared to go in the streets, even 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And life was more like normal. For the first time in my life, life was normal outside. Till 1941.
So you enjoyed your time. The war started when you were 13.
When I was 13, yeah.
And so from 13 to 15, you had a good time.
Yes. These 2 years were really happy years. You were able to go in the streets. You were able to go to the stores to buy. Just we had some lines for food. Just life was pretty good. Couldn't complain that time. Just like I say, in 41, everything changed.
Did you have many friends in the city?
I sure did. Just, I don't remember anybody's name.
But do you remember any one or two special friends?
Oh, not the first names. I just don't remember. It's so long, you forget. I had a friend that was with me in the camps. And I had another friend that I didn't remember her. No, it takes a long time. When you see somebody now, the face is different. Myself, when I look at my pictures when I was young, and now they're two different people. So it's very hard to remember somebody so long when people change so much.
Who were you closest to in those years?
What do you mean?
Who did you tell all your stories to and felt closest to?
I had neighbors, and they were much older than me. And I was able to talk to them, and they were nice. I used to be constantly in the house because I was able to talk to that person.
Who was that?
She was, at that time, I think, about 26, with a child, and I used to play with that child. And I was able to talk to her like a sister, Sometimes to a stranger you could talk faster than to your own family.
She was also Jewish.
Yes, they were Jewish.
Did she survive?
No.
And the baby?
No, none of them survived.
So in 1941, things changed again.
Oh, yes.
Tell me about that.
All of a sudden, we heard the planes coming around and bombing. And then my uncle came to our place. His house was burning. And all of them had to move in with us. And life was so scary. And when they came in with the guns, it was hard to believe. And then a few weeks later, the people, they were out in the Polish side. They weren't supposed to go there. They brought them in the camps, in the ghetto, and they hung them. 3 people. One was Gentile and 2 Jewish. And they were hanging from a balcony, and everybody had to go out and look at it. Time was so bad. And then not long after this, my uncle was working. He was a painter, and he was working for the Germans, painting a home, whatever. And they took some people that time to send them to Brzezinka.
To where?
Brzezinka.
Brzezinka.
Majdanek. And
is Brzezinka another name for Majdanek?
I think so. Brzezinka, no, it was Brzezinka. And my uncle was working for the Germans, and we were already in the temple to go to that place because there they killed you right away.
Wait a minute. What do you mean we were already in the temple?
They took us from the home in the temple. They took us to the temple. From there, the people used to go to the camps.
So it was a collection point.
That's right. And my uncle went to that German and begged them to take out his brother and the kids. And after a while, they called us out, and we went back to our house.
Had they allowed you to take things with you when they called you out of the house?
Very little. You couldn't take too much. You couldn't take any food. You couldn't take maybe another coat or a dress, because they told us we don't need to get everything new there. And we came back.
What kind of job was he doing for the German that he could do this?
He was a painter. And, painting homes. And he painted a home for them. And this is the way he was able to talk to him. And they took us out from the temple, brought us back home.
Did you feel happy when they called your name? What happened then?
See, we didn't really know where we were going. We didn't know. See, people were kidding around, you know, I'll meet you on a shell, you'll be a piece of soap, and I'll be something else, you know.
I'll meet
I'll
you
be
on a
candle.
shelf?
Yeah, you'll be a piece of soap, and I'll be a candle. Just, we couldn't understand what people were saying. We didn't know what they were doing to us. And that's why everybody went.
How did other people know that they might make soap out of them or a
I
candle?
don't have the slightest idea. I don't have the slightest idea. And till I saw myself what they were doing to the people.
Okay, so you were called out of the temple, and then what happened?
We went back home. And we stayed there possible another 8 months.
So when was it that you were first taken to the temple? What year and what month was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember the month, just I know it was in 1942. I don't remember the month. I know it was winter time. It was cold. Just I don't remember.
So the winter of 42 was when they had a first collection.
Yes, to go for us to Brzezinka.
To Brzezinka. Did you know that they were going to do the killing? Nothing.
No, we didn't know anything.
Okay, so you came back. Were there any other Jews still around?
Oh, yes. Yes. See, you know, in that same place where we were living, my sister was living with her husband and child, and my uncle and aunt, and their son and daughter, and their daughter-in-law. I was pregnant already that time.
So you came back home, and then what?
And then we stayed possible another 6 months. Then they start picking up the people to go to Auschwitz.
How were you eating? Where did your father still keep working, or where did you get the money to buy bread?
You know something? I don't know. I think we got free food. I really don't know. Who paid for the food? I know we paid for bread. Just see, but they were giving us horse meat.
Horse meat. Who is they?
The Germans. And my father was very Orthodox. And he didn't know what to do because, you know, there was nothing to eat, so he went to the rabbi. And asked the rabbi if he could eat the horse meat. And the rabbi said to him, look, for survival you could do a lot of things. Go ahead, man, because you have to survive this. So then we started eating horse meat. It was very hard. Times were so bad that sometimes you wish you would be somewhere else. And then we didn't know what was going on. Our next door neighbor had a radio where he wasn't supposed to have it. You couldn't listen to the news. So he had a little room where it didn't show. You couldn't tell there was a room. So we used to find out the news, what was going on. It was bad. We never got good news.
Was your grandmother still there?
In 39 was New Year's Eve. My grandmother passed away. And there was a funeral. And after the funeral, my mother got sick. And they didn't know what was wrong with her. And we called the doctor, and the doctor says, she has something in the throat, just she'll be okay. Just these past 10 days, and she got worse. We called the doctor, and the doctor came, and he says, we can't save her. She got a child's disease, diphtheria. And she passed away 11 days after her mother. Just, you know something, Now I could say thank God that my mother passed away that time. She didn't have to go through that misery, and I didn't have to watch it. And then we lost our mother. And my little nephew, he was standing and talking to my mother. He says, Grandma, talk to me.
So who is still at home? Your father?
My father and my sister, my two brothers, and the little one, my nephew and her husband and his father, and my aunt and uncle, and their daughter and son and daughter-in-law. We were all living in a one-bedroom apartment, possible as big as my apartment. It was hard, just, you couldn't help it. If we can take in our uncle, who's going to take him in? So we made a living room for them, a bedroom. My sister and her family was in another room, and we were in a bedroom. It was 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and the living room.
So you needed a lot of food to feed everyone.
Oh, sure. Just listen, we had potatoes. There wasn't too much food to eat. We had a piece of bread during the day. They made potato soup. Just we were happy, we were still together.
What was going on around you?
People used to talk, Hitler, he doesn't like the Jews and he's killing the Jews, because we saw what was going on right in the streets. They used to come around their cells and just take the gun and shoot. And you couldn't say boo to them. They were in charge, just because you were a Jew. So life was bad. I don't think today if I could survive something like this. I guess when you're younger, you take a lot of crap from them. Just sometimes I sit and think, how did I survive? Why me? And there's no answer. I guess it wasn't my time.
Were people missing around? Did you wonder where people went to? Did they catch them? Or did they kill them?
You didn't know who is around, because most of the time you were staying in the house. You were afraid to go in the streets. And then if somebody came out of the ghetto, went somewhere else, and they caught him, if the man was Jewish and the person that hit him was Gentile, they killed them both. So they were afraid. Some nice Gentile people that wanted to help and were afraid. So then you didn't have no choice.
So things were really bad, but you were still in Grodno. And sometimes you heard of people, non-Jews, taking in Jews, but that was very dangerous because they could both get killed.
Right, and it happened a few times while I was in Grodno.
To whom?
They brought in the ghetto 3 people, 2 Jewish people and 1 Gentile. And there was a broken balcony that 3 sticks were sticking out, and they hung them all. And everybody that was living in the ghetto had to go out and look at this, to show us that that could happen to you. And it was so painful to watch it because we knew the people. See, it's even harder when you know the people. And for what? Because they went out there to hide for their life. So they killed them. Life was bad in the ghetto. Till 1943, where they took us to Auschwitz.
Let me just ask you another question about the ghetto. Was it a closed ghetto?
Yes, it was closed. It was a closed ghetto.
Was there a government, a Jewish government? Was there someone sort of the head of the Jews or any?
I don't remember. I think there was a few, just I'm not sure.
Was there any, do you remember any Jewish police?
Yes, there were Jewish police. Just, you know, they got orders from the Germans.
Of course.
Just they still were nice. You know, they were our brothers and sisters. So they were nice to us. They just told us to be careful. They were watching when you went to get some bread in line, that the same person shouldn't come twice. So everybody's going to get some. So it wasn't easy.
What other jobs did they have, the policemen?
I don't think if any jobs. I don't think. I think there wasn't too many Jewish police. Just they had to do it. They didn't have a choice.
Shall we go on to what happened when they came to get you?
See, they ordered everybody to go to the temple. Just take a few little things and go to the temple. And we started up early in the morning. So we took some clothes, not too much. We couldn't take too much because they told us not to take any. And we stayed in the temple till the afternoon. And then everybody started walking to the train.
Was the temple full? How many people were there?
It was that time because we were outside too. I think it was about 10,000. 10,000, I think that was. And we walked to the train, and they put us on the train, closed up, I can explain to you, not a regular train, just a train like you would put in some horses and cows, you know, a closed up place. And we were, I think 2 days we were on the train till we came to Auschwitz.
How was it inside the train? Did you have anything to eat? Describe.
There was nothing to eat. Everybody was sitting on everybody. You couldn't go to the bathroom. And there was my cousin's wife, was pregnant, 9 months pregnant. And it was just horrible because she was able to have the baby anytime. So when the train stopped and we came down from the trains, they started looking at each and every one. Now, I went to the left. My brother went to the left. My father, my other sister, my uncles, and aunt and my cousins, they went to the right. And I said to myself, what am I doing here by myself? And I want to go back to them, and the assessment pushed me back to stay there. And then we went into the camps, and we started asking questions. They said, your parents, they are working.
Who said this to you?
They says, they are in a different camp, and for them it's lighter work, and we'll have harder work. Then we came into a barrack, and they told us we'll go in and we'll get a shave. They'll give us a number, and we'll have a shower, and they'll give us clothes. They start shaving us our heads, and we couldn't recognize each other. You know, the next person, everybody looked so different. And they took off the clothes, we took off the clothes, and they gave us a number. And my number is 3888. And then they told us to take a shower, and the water was cold as ice. And your body started itching from the hair because it was, you know, you were dirty. So it got even worse. And then they gave us uniforms like the Russians used to wear, the shirts and the pants.
Did you have a towel to dry yourself?
No, there was no towel to dry. And then they sent us to a barrack. There was no mattress, no blanket, no nothing. It was hard. It was a wooden barrack, a wooden bed. And there 5 people were laying on one shell. It was like a shell. This is the way we slept. And it was cold. And you were hungry. They gave you 1 slice of bread. And they gave you a little bit soup. It was just plain water. And they gave you coffee. So you would get sick, you won't have your period. See, the people, the women never had the period in the camps. They poisoned us with something in the coffee. And life got worse. We used to get up 5 in the morning, be counted late, rain, snow.
What do you mean get up and be counted?
See, they counted every day. When we used to get up, we used to stay and be counted to see if nobody escaped, if anybody's missing. And
Why until 8?
I don't have the slightest idea.
Why did it take so long?
But they had to count the whole camp, and there was possible so many SS that were counting it. Just from 5 o'clock till late in the morning, we used to stay in the line.
How was that?
It was freezing, and people couldn't go to the bathroom. People were sitting right down, doing whatever they had to do. And if our assessment saw it, that person got 25 with a rubber thing over the behind.
Just as they were standing, or did they have to step out of the line?
They had to step out, and everybody had to watch it.
With a what? With a rubber what?
A rubber, like a snake, a rubber snake. And I saw my girlfriend one time. They beat her up, 25. And she had, you couldn't see it on her behind. It was so bad. Red marks. Listen, they took out a person they used to watch. If you had a little mark on your body, like a scratch, you used to go to the crematorium. You were contagious already. So, you know, you had so much lice on you. You never bathed. So your body was itching. You were afraid to scratch it in case you get a mark on your body. So it was a nightmare, really a nightmare. And I was this was Birkenau. I was there about 3 months where they sent me to Buda. This was possible a few miles from Birkenau.
Before we leave Birkenau, do you remember which barrack you were in?
No, I don't.
Did you know any people that were sleeping on your bed? Did you know those people?
A few, yes.
From before?
I had my 2 cousins and somebody else, I don't remember who else it was.
What was it like sleeping together?
At least you had one side of your body was warm because you warmed up from the next person. Just at night, you know, some people you went to sleep and then you had accident. And this, you made me famous.
And everybody got what?
No, just you couldn't change the clothes. You had to wear the same clothes. And you smelled. Eh, it's hard, really, to believe that any person, any human being could live through something like this. Just if you lived there 3 months and you were able to live through the 3 months, you were able to live through the whole thing. Because the first 3 months were the worst. You had to get used to that life. In a life like this, it's very hard to get used to.
What else did you have to get used to?
Hunger, cold, dirt, everything. Everything.
Did you see anybody die?
Oh, you saw every single day dead people. Every single day there were dead people. People took their own life. I don't know, just people took their own life. They hanged themselves. It was, it's, you know, when I'm talking to you right now, I can't believe it. I went through all these things. It's hard to believe a person went through all the misery. Then I was there 3 months where they sent me to Buddha.
What was Buddha like?
There was 200 girls. This was a death camp. Nobody came out alive from there. One way or the other way, you had to be dead. Mangala came to that place to look over the girls. I was sick in the beginning. I had my throat. I couldn't swallow. And my girlfriend used to go and steal hot water for me to drink, so it would loosen up. And one night, my mother came to me. And she took her hands. I felt it. And it was so real. And she gave me some bread and rice, and she said, "Eat, my kid. That's my kid. Tomorrow morning you'll feel better." Anyway, I got up in the morning. I started swallowing. And I called my girlfriend. I said, "Look, I could swallow." And I told her the story. And she started crying, and I started crying. And we were so happy that we could be together again, because I don't think if I was able to live another day there. And we used to work very hard. We used to work there every morning. We used to go the railroad. We were building the railroad. You know, the little wagons. One is in front of you, and one is in back of you. And you're in the middle, and the one in the back knocked in my leg. And I said, that's the end, because how could I walk? Nah, for sure they're going to take me and kill me. Anyway, I went up to that German couple, and I showed her my leg, and I don't know why. She gave me a Band-Aid and some medicine, and I put it on. I still have a mark on my leg. And everything was going fine, because she should give me a Band-Aid and medicine to put on, because I had pus. And I lived through this. Then, after being there 2 months, and somebody spilled soup over me, over my head and my clothes, and I was so tired, and I was getting sick, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So when Mengele came, I said I don't remember what I said to him, you know? Just, he came up to me and he says, "Anything wrong with you?" I was standing by the wall, you know, and standing like this, you know? I was ready to go. And I told him I have diarrhea. And I'm ready to go. He says, but you look good. I says, just I'm sick. I was ready to go to the crematorium. Anyway, there came the truck, and I was on the truck, and I was very happy I'm going to die, and I don't have to suffer anymore. Anyway, when we came to the camp, there was a transport from Hungary. 20,000 people came in, so they couldn't take me to the crematorium. They took me to the Birkenau, and they put me in a hospital there.
What did Mengele say when you said you
He
wanted?
says, you still look good.
So he tried to talk you out of
Out
going.
of it. I says, but I'm sick, I have diarrhea. You know, when you had diarrhea, that's the end, because you couldn't get better. Just it wasn't true, I was ready to go.
You had told me before we started that you had a fantasy of dying in a bed. Is that when it happened?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
not that, no.
So you went to Birkenau in order to make room for the Hungarians?
Yes. Anyway, now they kept me on that hospital, but 3 days.
Can you describe the hospital?
There were sick people. It was that yelling and screaming. And I said to myself, what am I doing here? So I went up to one of the couples that belonged to that block. And I said, I feel much better. I'm ready to go to work. So they sent me on a different block, and the next day I went to work. And I remember they were making something for planes there, like tapes, That's what I was doing there. While going home one day, some men went by, coming from a different place, going to their camp. While I was walking, I noticed 2 people from my town. They were working where the clothes used to come in. All the clothes from the dead people. So they said to me, what do you need? You need anything? I says, yes, I need a coat. I was cold. So while they were going this way, we were going that way, and I always tried to stay to my left. So they handed me a coat. The next day they say, what do you need again? I said, I need some shoes. So one handed me one shoe, and the other one handed me another shoe, then I had the shoes. And then they asked me, what else do you want? I says, I want to work where you're working. Because some girls were working in that same place. So at least you have clothes to change, You get some food there that the people used to bring in. Life was getting much better. Anyway, they had to give that couple that was with these girls. They gave us some eggs and sardines that they got from the packages. And the next day, they went and called my number that I'm going on that bar, and I'll work there. So life got much better. At least you were able to change your clothes. You were able to eat something more. Just coming back to the camp, it was the same thing. You still had to sleep 5 on one on one bed, where they call it. And it was still cold, and it was still misery. You still had to stay from 5 till 8 o'clock in the morning. Just at least when you walked out and you went to work, life was much easier.
Who was your couple?
German girl, was there for prostitute, as a prostitute. They put her in the camps.
So she was a prostitute and a couple.
She was a prostitute before they brought her to the camp.
I see. But she wasn't a prostitute at camp.
No, there was no men in the camp. There was all women.
But they were...
Not in our camp. No camp said a men. We were all women in our camp. So, so life got much better now on the outside. And still, life wasn't good. At least outside you walked out. At least you were with people that didn't look as bad as the people that we saw, because we were able to clean ourselves up there. We were able to change everyday clothes. This was possible for 6 months.
Let's get some dates. You were in, you came into Auschwitz
came-
in 43.
January the 18th, 1943. And I was there exactly 2 years to the date. Where not far, you know, they were fighting the Russian and the Germans, and they were getting close to us.
Well, wait, we're not in 45 yet. You were there from 43 January, then you were taken to Buda 3
Yeah.
months later. You were in Buda for how long?
Just about 2 months.
So that took you up to approximately June 43.
Yes,
Then you came back to Birkenau.
yes.
And how long were you in Birkenau?
Till the January of 18, 1945.
Oh, so then you had it a little bit better, and that may be why you survived.
Possible, possible.
Tell me some of the stories when you had it a little bit better. What happened to you? What happened around you in that time?
See, working there, we were working, you know, the men were working on one side, we were working there on the other side, putting together all the clothes. Just still, you know, life was bad because you were afraid to do something outside that assessment might see taking something, so you had to watch yourself all the time. You had to watch yourself constantly. If somebody sees you what you're doing,
What would happen?
they would kill you. Now, one time there was an incident where a man, assessment, raped a woman there,
A Jewish woman?
Jewish woman. And when this was already getting close to going home, they whistled. They made a whistle. Everybody should come together. And one girl was missing. And they went to look for them. And they found them both together. They couldn't get apart. Being scared. And both of them were laying in a little wagon. They took them to hospital. Just, she never came alive from them. I don't know what happened to her. We never saw her again. But that happened after, nobody knows. This was tragedy. She was an innocent girl. Like they said, we can come together with Jewish, just they did. And that's the first time I saw something like this that happened. Just in the camps, they weren't around us. It was just the women couples, that most of them were Germans.
Who were the girls? Where were they from? Were they all Polish prisoners?
No, there were German prisoners too. The couples were German prisoners.
No, I mean the girls like you.
From all over. You had it from Germany, Poland, from Holland, from, we had friends, a few from there, Hungarian, Czechoslovakian, from all over.
Did you have a chance to communicate with each other?
I don't know, it was very hard to communicate with the Hungarian people. We had a hard time with them. I don't know why. Just we didn't trust them. Even they were Jewish people, we just couldn't trust them. Because they were able to sell you for a piece of bread. And I'm ashamed to say even this, that some people are. For a piece of bread, they would sell you something.
Give me an example.
They would go and talk to the Germans if something else would happen. They would go and tell lies that the other Jews.
Like what?
They stole something, they took something.
What was it for them? I mean, did they get something for it?
I don't know, they wanted sympathy. And I guess they were telling what was going on, so maybe they got something more, I don't know. And I'm not the only one that's going to tell you something like this. They did not like him. They were just going and talking.
They complained to the German.
Sure.
To the German couple.
That's right. I'm not saying all of them. All Hungarians were bad. Just there were a few that you had to watch out. Like they were spying for them. But we had quite a few like this.
What else would happen during those days?
During the days, if you did something wrong, you died. You had to watch for your own sister, you had to watch for them. Times, I don't know how. I don't know how I survived all this.
Were you alone, or did you have a buddy, or did you have a cousin, or?
When I came back from Buda, both of my cousins were grown already. They were dead. They couldn't take it. And then I heard that my brother and my cousin were in the camps, and they were grown after 3 months. They couldn't survive. So when I came back, there was nobody. There were just people I knew from before. Just, everybody had their own problem. You couldn't complain. You never complained. Who are you going to complain? You're going to complain to somebody that has the same problem as you. So you had to smile and be happy and tell some jokes. So you start laughing a little bit, so you felt a little better.
Did you tell jokes?
No. I just listened.
So you had no buddy, no friend that you...
Just the people that were around you.
But no one that you looked out for each other?
Nobody looked out for each other. You had to look out for yourself. If you had a sister possible, or a cousin, you stuck together. Just if there was just somebody you knew from before, everybody looked out for themselves.
How old were the people who were there?
I was that time 15.
And the others, what was the oldest?
Maybe 30. And then something else, some people when they came in the camps and they didn't see that they were pregnant. Now we used to go to the bathroom, it was far away. It was an open thing. And when you used to come in, you were able to see little babies in there, dead babies. They were afraid to tell them they were pregnant because they would have killed them right away. So you used to see babies laying in the toilet. And you know something? You didn't cry when you saw these things like this. You were so immune to everything that you just couldn't cry.
Were they full-term babies?
Full-term babies in the toilet. Dead babies. And I saw that a few times. The first year.
Didn't Mengele notice when they were checking the women and counting the women that the women were pregnant?
No. First place, they didn't get too heavy. And he wasn't in every time. At least he used to come every few months. So I don't think, even myself, I never noticed anybody being pregnant there. So just, there was quite a few women that had babies there.
Did anybody try to keep the babies, or was that...
Oh, you couldn't. You couldn't. If the baby would cry, they would know right away. And then they would kill the baby and kill the mother. So the mother had to kill the baby to survive. Yeah, that's what happened to the people there. And every day was the same day. There was never a different day. You had to get up in the morning, get up hungry, go to work hungry. They gave you one slice of bread. They gave you coffee. What they called cold coffee. It was like dirty water. And then they gave you soup. It was just plain water. That's what they gave you for the whole day. And I remember one time I had a piece of bread that I couldn't eat. And I put that bread, made it in a pillow for my head with my clothes, put it in my clothes, so that I'm going to have the next morning. I got up in the morning, my piece of bread disappeared. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So then I was hungry another day. Just you got so used to the hunger. After years being hungry, you were used to it. It didn't bother you. It bothered you. Just, you knew you can't help it. You have to survive. Just that day when it came, January the 8th, 1945, this was a day that we were scared they're going to kill us all.
To go back just a little bit,
Yes.
what did you daydream about when you thought about wanting to survive? Did you have a reason to survive?
No. There was no reason to survive. Everybody knew sooner or later we'll all be dead. There was no hope of surviving. There was never hope. You live with... See, that's why I wanted to go and die that day when I told Mengele, I'm sick. I just couldn't take anymore. And I begged him. I really begged him. Because and my girlfriend says to me, why don't you wait another few days, we'll go together. I says, no, I can't take it. She cried to me, don't go. I says, I can't take it anymore. Just, I guess my mother was watching over me. This was the second time she watched over me. And I survived. I couldn't believe it. Till this day, I can, but sometimes I touch myself to see if it's really me.
Did you know that everybody was dead?
In my family? Oh, yes. I
How
knew.
did you know that?
Because after a while, being a little bit longer there, you got to know more people there, and you were talking. And you saw for yourself already, when we came in, we saw fire. There was no crematorium at that time. They were digging a grave, and they burned them alive. And we used to hear at night, ooh, ooh. The people were alive when they were burning them. Then when we asked the German coppers, and then they told us the truth, that our parents and everybody's dead. They killed everybody. They took us because we could work. We were young. And the little children and the parents, they were killed right away.
So you had this job with the clothes. Tell us more about this job you had.
See, it was easy. At least you worked inside, where all the clothes used to come in. And
The clothes of the people.
of the dead people. And the live people, because our clothes was gone too. We were changed. They didn't give us our own clothes. So we had to put away like dresses and coats and all these things, and look in the clothes if there's hidden diamonds or gold or whatever.
Did you find any?
They did. Just, I know some people were hiding, just, you're afraid. I was able to hide. Just, where do you hide? Where do you hide?
Where did people hide it?
Different places. Just, you have to be more experienced with something. But I was a child, I didn't know what to do with it. Just some people did hide places.
What did they do with that?
Or some of them were buried some diamonds around that place. And after the war, I knew somebody did come back and dig out some diamonds.
Where in clothes did people sew in diamonds?
In your pets around here. In the hands. This was the places. Most of them they used to hide in the pets. Money, American dollars. Just where do you hide? And then you say to myself, what do I need it? I'm not going to survive anyway.
Couldn't you buy bread for that? Couldn't you trade?
You couldn't get to anybody. You didn't see anybody on the outside world. You didn't see anybody. You were just...
What about the capos?
They were prisoners too. They were prisoners. So who... Then you're afraid to talk to them. You know? You're afraid. So how could you hide? You can't buy no bread or anything for this.
So the Germans took... What did they do with the clothes and what did they do with the dollars?
You know, when the people came, there was a basket and you had to throw in everything in the basket.
And then the Germans did what with it?
They took it. They took everything.
What did they do with the clothes?
Some of the clothes they sent to Germany, some of the clothes it was packed and sent away. Most of them used to be sent to Germany.
So your job was to look for the diamonds
And put the better clothes on this side and other clothes on another side, bedding, blankets, pillows, you know. So we used to put it on the side. Shoes, teeth, everything. Eyeglasses, sure. Nobody wore eyeglasses in the camps.
If you were blind?
Even if you were blind, there was no glasses. There was nothing. If you didn't have any teeth, you didn't have any teeth. You didn't need any teeth there. Because whatever they gave you, you didn't need any teeth to chew.
How were your teeth?
Oh, my teeth were fine. Just I lost them after the war. Because figure out, it's almost over 2 years where you didn't brush your teeth. You didn't see a dentist. Now I remember one tooth was pulled from me when I had a cavity and it was hurting me. I don't know how they did it to me. Just they pulled that tooth.
Who is they?
It was our doctors, the people that came to the camps. If you were a doctor, you were able to work there. And this was a dentist that worked in the camp. So I remember at one time they pulled one tooth of me.
So tell me now about your last days with the German in January of '45. Did you know that it was that the war was going badly?
We knew that the Russians are getting close to us, and they were, I think, passing by 18 miles from Auschwitz. And then they took all the people. Some of them were left in the camps. They took all the people, and we walked from Auschwitz to Ravensbrück. We walked from Auschwitz to Ravensbrück, and we were there. When we came to Ravensbrück, some of the people were shot. They couldn't walk. We killed them, you know. And when we came to Ravensbrück, we were there about 5 days. And they sent us to Leipzig, another camp.
How did they send you?
That time we were by train.
So part of the time you walked, and part
From
of the...
Auschwitz to Ravensbrück,
You walked.
we walked.
How far is that?
I don't remember. I think we walked for a week, day and night.
Did you get food? Did you get a place to sleep?
No, nothing. And we were all in the streets.
This was in January.
In January. And then when we came to Ravensbrück, they sent us to Leipzig. That time we were by train we came there. And not long after this, They sent us to a camp in Malchow. There was a nice camp. I think this was at one time a resort that the Germans used to be there. And it used to be so beautiful there that from not eating, from the beautiful weather, that got you so bad that you got sick with your eyes. My eyes were getting sick. How? They were sticking together constantly. I don't know, it was because we were in such a beautiful place, or from the flowers or whatever, I don't know. Just most of the girls were complaining about their eyes. And we were there possibly about 2 months. We didn't do anything, we just stayed there. There was no work. Because every day they were saying the British are getting closer and closer and closer. Till one day they told us to get out and we're leaving. And this was 3 weeks for me before the war was over. And we were walking 3 weeks, day and night. We stopped and we used to get potatoes from the field. And at night we were able to make a fire and bake the potatoes. And this was going on for 3 weeks. Till one morning we got up and 6 in the morning, we started looking around. Nobody's watching us. And we started crying. Who's going to take care of us? We didn't know what's happening right now. No SS, no coppers, nobody there, just us girls. We cried. Before at least we had a piece of bread, now there's no place to go. And while we were walking, we didn't know where we were walking, we saw a Polish Red Cross, 2 fellas. And we came up and asked him, we told him what's happening to us, and we don't know where to go. He says, don't go that way, because the English are fighting the Germans. Just you could go that way, there's a city, the white flags are hanging. It's a free city, you could go there. It took us the whole day till we came into that city. Hungry, cold, tired. We went into somebody's house and asked him for a piece of bread.
How many of you?
Oh, we were possible at that time, about a few hundred. Just then, while we were walking, everybody separated. When we came in to ask for a piece of bread, they said to us, we don't have any. We are so hungry. And we walked, and somebody told us to walk up not far as there are farm where Russian people are prisoners there. Just you could go, maybe they could do something for you. We came into that farm, and there were 2 Russian guys that were prisoners there. He says, look, I'll let you sleep over the night, and I'll make you some potatoes, and I'll make you some the sour milk, because I can't give you anything else. Because if I'll give you something else, you'll die. So I'll give you some potatoes and the sour milk, and you could sleep in the barn. Just tomorrow morning you have to leave. So we left. So we came in that town, and we saw an empty house. You were possibly about 11 girls. And we went into the house, took it over. We slept there. Just there was no food. You can't exist without food at all. Anyway, somebody told us there's a Russian camp. And we walked, it was possible a few miles, and we walked into the Russian camps. And they gave us beds with clean sheets. And they gave us food. They made potato soup. That's why they fed us 3 times a day potato soup. We couldn't eat anything else. They couldn't give us any meat. Anything heavy we couldn't eat because we would die. And then after being there for a few weeks, they decided to send us back to Russia. See, I was born in Poland. Just that time, it was Grodno. It was Poland. I mean, it was Russia that time. So anyway, we were on a train, and the Russian soldiers were around us. And there was 2 Jewish Russians. And he told us girls, he says, I don't want you to bother with the Russian soldiers. I'll entertain you. Just I don't want you to bother with them, because you know what's going to happen. Anyway, then he says, what are you going to do? Are you going to Russia? Because we are trying to get away from them. We're trying to get out of the army and escape. So he gave us something to think. And during the night, we took off and went. We were in Leipzig that time. And we find ourselves a place. I don't.
So you ran out of the
All of
train,
them.
and they also, the
Yes.
2 Jewish Russians.
Yeah, just they went somewhere else. They didn't go with us. Because they couldn't go to Leipzig, because the Russians were there. They had to go somewhere to hide. And I don't know how we got food there. I really don't know who gave us food, because we didn't have any money. I don't know. I can't explain how we got that food. And while I was there in Leipzig, we decided to go to Poland, because I wanted to go to my mother's grave. I promised I'm going to go to my mother's grave. So we came to lodge, and we all had a place to live there. Just the Gentile fellow that took care of their building came one night to us with a knife and wanted to kill ourselves. He was drunk. Just anyway, we were fighting him off, because we had some fellows there already with us. 2 people got married already, so there were 2 men. Anyway, we stayed there for a while, and then I met some people from my town, and I told them what I want to do. I want to go to Grodno and go to my mother's grave. So they told me, don't. Your mother's going to forgive you. If you go into Grodno, you'll never come out of it. I says, if you're going to Germany, you could come with us. Anyway, we stayed there for another week, and now we decided to go to Germany. Just we have to cross the Russian border to the English border. So this was 2 o'clock in the morning. The dogs were barking on the other side, and we were laying on the ground, just crawling on our stomachs. Nobody should see us. And we came into the English zone. Now we had to cross the English zone to the American zone. It wasn't as bad. We started explaining, even nobody spoke English, just they started explaining, excuse me, and we went in, we came to Munich. And in Munich, there's a museum. Whoever came to Munich, they used to put down their names on the wall. So if you wanted to know who's alive or who lives here or whatever, you went to the wall and checked. Like I put down my name on the wall too. And my girlfriend was living in Vierenwald. And I remember we didn't pay for no transportation, everything was free for the refugees. So I came to Vierenwald, and I stayed with her for a while, and there were some people that were going to Italy. They wanted to know if I want to go. I said, sure, I hate to stay here. I hate the ground of Germany. So anyway, we decided to go to Italy. So we had to go first to Austria. Now we have to cross the mountains, and it's snowing. Here are 11 people walking the mountains up, and it's snowing. It was so bad. We were already on the top. You couldn't walk anymore. You couldn't put the foot down because you got lost in the snow. And this was the end of 1945. And we knocked on the door, and we walked into the door. They let us in.
This was still in Germany?
This was in Austria.
Austria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he made us tea. I don't know what else he gave us. And he says, and he made a fireplace for us to be warm. And he says, tomorrow in the morning you could go. Anyway, 6 o'clock he went to work and left us there.
What did he do?
He was a cop. Anyway, he went to work. Just before 8 o'clock, there was a knock on the door, and the police come in, and they take us to jail. Anyway, we knew one thing that we have to say. If they ask us where do we go, where do we want to go to Germany. So they used to send us to Italy. If we would say we want to go to Italy, they would send us back to Germany. So we said we want to go to Germany. Anyway, we were in jail for a few days there, and they didn't know what to do with us. Anyway, they sent us to a camp, English camp in Bari, in Milano. We came to Milano, we were there, and they started interviewing us. And they asked us, the first thing they asked us, where do you want to immigrate? We didn't know any better. We said, Palestine. That was the end. Now we're stuck in that camp because the English were in Palestine that time. They were controlling Palestine. And they didn't want the Jews there. We knew that there was a Jewish fella, American soldier, a little bit higher than a soldier. We wrote to him, sent him a letter. He couldn't do anything. And we were fasting, we didn't want to eat. And anyway, after being there 3 months, they decided to send us to a different camp. I don't remember the town even. It was a white Russian camp. And we knew where we were going. And we knew if we are going into that camp, I'll never go out. They're going to kill us there. You know, the white Russian.
What about the White Russians?
Oh, they were just as bad as the Polacks. They hated Jews. Anyway, we came there early in the morning. It was dark. And we are trying to explain to them that we don't belong here. We belong kibbutz. Anyway, they listened and listened and let us go. We took that train, just each one was in a different compartment. We never sat together. We bought some papers right away, Italian papers, and pretending we were reading the paper. Before you knew, they were looking for us. The police were looking for us. And everybody was sitting separately. Nobody sat together. See, now, I look like Italian. I'm dark. And the people that I was, they're all dark people. So they really looked like Italians, you know? And then we went to Santa Barbara from there, and this was a kibbutz, like a camp, you know. The people that wanted to go to Israel were there, and people that wanted to go to United States, we were all there. And that time we used to get food every day, we used to get clothes. And when I came there, I decided to look for my aunt.
In America?
Yeah. And then after I wrote a letter to the Grodner Committee in New York, but 3 weeks later, somebody comes and tells me, you know, you have a registered letter. I said, a registered letter? I went to the post office, and I opened up the letter. I cried. It was my aunt. Me. She told me that somebody read the forwards and saw in the paper that I was looking for my aunt. The name, I didn't know if it's Woshinsky or Oshinsky, you know. It's explained her maiden name I knew. And right away she sent me money in a letter. And she says, I'm making papers for you. Even she wasn't sure it was me, you know? And I don't know how my aunt from here, I had a aunt here too. All of a sudden I get a letter from my aunt and some money. And I never knew I had an aunt here. I never knew my father had a sister here. And I'll tell you why, the reason why I didn't know. See, she was divorced. And that time, to be a divorcee, and you're religious and you're Orthodox, it was a shame to the family. So she explained to me why I didn't know that my father had a sister. Because I told her, I wrote her in a letter, I said, I don't think if you're my aunt. She wrote me back a letter and explained to me why I didn't know that she was my aunt. And I came, after a while, it took a few years where I had to make some papers on a different quarter, in a different name, because the Polish quarter I had to wait quite a while. And I was afraid to be there in case another war breaks out.
So
I used my mother's maiden name, and I used that I was born in Germany. And I got my visa not long after this. And I was afraid to be in Italy another day that I didn't have to. I was always afraid that I'm coming back.
that the Germans are coming.
Whoever, I always afraid for another war. And I got my visa and I stayed at Pass for 4 more days and I came to the United States. And this was the biggest thrill of my life. When I was walking, my aunt was yelling to me, Vanya. And by her voice, it was just like my mother's voice, and looked just exactly like my mother. I went to her. And this was the biggest thrill in my life. When I came, I was able to kiss the ground, just being here. And not to be afraid anymore. I was free. Free, at least. Yeah.
Other sister, did it continue to be wonderful?
Yes. Just see, I didn't speak in English. I didn't understand the word. She has 2 daughters my age, and I had to sleep with them in the same room. And even when I understood a little bit what they were saying, now they start talking a different language. I don't know. Crisscrossing I don't know what it was. I didn't understand. When you're down, you always think somebody's talking to you. And I wasn't comfortable there. I lived there a little bit. I came there in October, and I think I lived there a year and a few months.
October what? What year?
October of 1948, I came to Washington.
So you were 19 when you came to Washington.
Yeah.
So you couldn't live with them because you felt that they were talking about you.
Yeah, I didn't feel right, They didn't speak any Yiddish. And I don't know, I felt, and when I was hungry, I was ashamed to go to take in the refrigerator because it wasn't mine. And I didn't feel comfortable. My aunt was very nice to me. She couldn't ask for any better aunt. I decided to leave Washington. And I sent a telegram here to my aunt that I'm coming in. And my aunt, see, in Washington, the people, my family there, they were rich people, have nice homes, My aunt here was a poor woman. She worked, she had to support herself. When she got a telegram, I'm coming, she felt bad. And when she picked me up from the bus, I came by bus, And she says, why didn't you tell me? What could I do for you? And when I left Washington, my aunt says, if you're going now, you cannot come back. She didn't want me to go. And decent, when she says, why did you come? I can't help you. Oh, I thought everything is done. What did I do to myself? Anyway, my aunt was looking for a job for me. And I wrote a letter to my aunt in Washington, D.C. And I told her, I says, look, if I come back, would you let me in? And she says, anytime, my door is open for you. I told you not to go because your aunt couldn't do anything for you. Meantime, I got a job here. Before I came here, I didn't have the money to take the train. So I asked my aunt to loan me $40. Anyway, I went to work, and the first check I got, because I made very good money, I was working piecework, very expensive suits, and I made that time $65 a week in 1950. That was a lot of money. And the first check I got, I took out $40, told somebody to make out a check, and I sent it to my aunt in Washington. I wanted to let her know that I don't want anything. I told her I'll give it back to her. And my aunt here says, why didn't you send her half? And you'll send her half next month. I says, no, I promise, and that's what I'm going to do. And I did it. I felt good. I was able to pay back what I took from her. It's not German anymore. You can't take it and just forget it. You buy, you give it back. And I had here a girlfriend that was in the camps with her. And her little girl was my precious little thing. When she was born, I was right there, and she was born in Italy, the little girl. And I used to take care of her. So I gave my girlfriend a break. And that's why I wanted to come here in LA to be with my girlfriend. But we were very close. We went through hell, and bad times and good times. And
What was her name?
Spillman. Maybe you know her. Esther Spillman. And that's why I came here. Not really for my aunt. I came here to be with my girlfriend. Because we were very close. We were in the camps together. We were after the war together.
She understood you, and your cousins didn't.
Oh, she's from Europe. We were both suffering together. You know, you could talk to somebody like my girlfriend, that she went through the same thing as I did. You could talk, you could cry, and she'll listen to me and I'll listen to her.
So how was your mood by then?
Oh, much better, because I was working already and I was independent, and I felt good because I paid my aunt half of everything. So I felt really good. I was independent. The first time in my life, I felt really good.
How was your English coming?
I don't know if my English is so good today. You know? Just see my husband, you know, then I met my husband. My husband's American. He was born in Cleveland.
How did you meet him?
My girlfriend's cousin's brother-in-law. He was my girlfriend's cousin's brother-in-law. That's the way I met him. It was more like family. And then I met him, I think it was in February, and we got married in November.
Was it a happy marriage?
Yes. You know, happy. Everything, it's happy, you know. You have to understand each other. That's happiness. If you could speak to, each one could speak to each other, this is happiness. And then my kids came along. And this was a thrill of my life. My first one came, and then my second one, And I have something, I have my grandson. And that's my precious thing. I think I love it more than my life.
What are your children's names?
My son's name is Larry. He's named after my father. And my daughter's name is Sharon Lee, and she's named after my mother, Sarah Lake.
And the baby?
And the baby is named after her, my daughter's uncle, Jordan. And the second name, his name is JJ. The second name is Jacob, after my brother.
You love.
I love them all. I love my family. I was happy being with them. Just, they took everything away. Just they didn't finish it. We finished with him before they finished with us. Sure, a lot of people died, 5 million, because they didn't take us all. Quite a few people survived and they could tell the story for everybody to hear and listen. That never is going to happen again. Life is much better now. See, now, there was a time when I slept on the floor any place, and my only wish was to live through that war and die in a clean bed. And I'm sure that's what's going to happen. I'm not going to die on the streets or in the gas chambers or any place else. And I'm sure my dream is going to come true. At least I'll die in a clean bed. And to see my children and my grandchild, now I don't care what happens. I have everything now. Now I have my life. And I have my happiness. It's my little baby.
What do you want to tell your great-great-grandchildren? What message do you want to
They
give
should
them?
never forget what happened to the Jewish people. You should never let them do the same thing again. They shouldn't go like the cows to the butcher. We should stand up, even if we have to give our life, to fight till the last drop of blood.
Do you think we did wrong in the war? Did you think that we could have fought back?
No. We weren't ready for this. Just today we are ready. We are ready for this. Today it wouldn't have been the same thing if this, God forbid, would happen today. I think today we're having a lot of Jewish people that are going to go and fight. And even I'm old already, and I'll fight with them. We can't let it happen again. Not anymore. We can't let our children suffer anymore. They should know nothing freedom and nothing else. You can buy freedom for money. Because we could fight for it. Thank God I'm here in the United States. They adopted me and I adopted them. And I'm very happy. What else could I say? Thank God.
You've said it all, and you've said it very beautifully. Now we're going to show you photographs.
Good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. This is the picture of my family. To the right, it's my brother,
Names.
Yankel.
Yanko who?
Yankel Cabra. The next to my brother is my mother, Sarah Lakey. Next to Sarah Lakey is me, friend Tanya. Above me is my sister Peppy. Next to Peppy is my father, Lepke. And next to Lepke is my younger brother, Aaron. And this picture was taken in 1927
Where?
in Grodno, Poland. This is Laiki Levashevska, my mother. And this picture was taken before the First World War
Where?
in Poland, Grodno.
She looks beautiful.
This is Lepki Kabra, my father. And this picture was taken in New York around 1910.
You didn't get to tell the story about your father going to New York. You want to tell it now?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My father was in New York when this picture was taken. And my mother was supposed to come to marry my father. Just his mother told her not to go because if he doesn't come back to Grodno, she'll never see him again. And my mother had to write a letter to my father that if he doesn't come back to Grodno, she won't marry him. And
But
that's why he decided to go back, and they got married.
this was taken in New York. Do you know approximately when they got married?
No.
So, since you had so many older brothers and sisters, probably before 1920.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, sure. I would say in,
Early teens.
yeah. Because remember, my sister is 80, would be 80. So you figure it out. So possible in, just like I said, in 1910.
Good.
This is my two sisters. On the right is Pepi Topolansky, and on the left is my sister Ethel Cabra.
When was it taken?
This was taken in early 20s. I really don't remember when. Just it was taken in early 20s.
In Grodno,
In Grodno, yeah,
Poland.
Poland. This is my brother Janko Kabran. He was born in Grodno, Poland.
What happened to him?
He was killed in the concentration camps. He was there 3 months and then they killed him.
He was older than
Yeah, I'm the youngest one.
you. Right.
These are my parents, Lepki Kabran and Sarah Lepki Kabran. And the little one is my nephew, Nyomele Topolansky.
Did Nyomale
They-
make it?
They were,
Did Nyomale make it?
No, they were all killed. And they were born in Grodno, Poland.
This was about the late 30s?
Yes, this was, I would say, late 30s, yeah. Because I think it was 35 or 36. No, but 36. Because he was born in 35, so. This is me, Tanya Kapran. I used to use my name, Levashevska. And this picture was taken in 1947 in Bari, Italy.
Your mother's name had been Levashevska,
Yeah.
right? So you were using your
Yeah,
mother's...
my mother's name, yeah. By that time I was already heavier. I had enough to eat.
Did you eat a lot after the war?
A straight meal, all day and all night. I used to get up during the night and eat. And I put on about 60 pounds.
How much did you weigh at the end of the war?
Skeleton. And then when I started eating, I'd never finished it. I eat constantly. And I put on 60 pounds, just I lost everything. And that's the way I'm staying. This is a picture of my son's bar mitzvah. On the right, it's me, Fanya Shilkov. Next to me is my son, Larry Shilkov. Next to Larry is Sharon Shilkov, my daughter, and my husband, Sandy Shilkov. He's dead.
What did he do?
He used to work for the motor vehicle department. He was the manager in charge of the motor vehicle department.
What year was this taken?
This picture was taken in '68
In Los Angeles.
in Los Angeles. Yeah,
Beautiful.
this was my most important day of my life.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
because I lived to see my son having bar mitzvah. It's hard to explain. I felt so warm inside.
He was named for your father.
He was named after my father. Yeah. And he's a good boy. He's married, has a child. This is my cousins. To the right is my cousin Genya, Livy. She passed away 2 years ago. Next to her, her son Freddie. He's a lawyer, lives in Washington, D.C. And next to him is my cousin Pinkas, Livy. He lives in Washington, D.C. And his daughter, Renee. I really don't remember her last name.
There's something special about him.
Yeah, they are my close family. That's what I have.
Didn't he survive with you?
No, he was in the Polish army, in the Russian army, and he was in Siberia when his friends escaped from Siberia to the United States because he was from the same town. They sent them away and he was in the camps there. This is the way he met his wife. So he was a prisoner in the Russian place.
But he came out.
Yeah, he came out, thank God.
What year is this taken?
This was taken possible of 64, I would say.
Where?
This in Washington, D.C. Or Silver Spring, Maryland. This is my daughter Sharon Shilkov, and she raises dogs. She loves dogs, and she lives in Woodland Hills, California.
What does she do?
She's a nurse. She's in charge of the pediatric and newborn in the Woodland Hills Kaiser Hospital.
Sure, she brings you a lot of happiness.
Oh yes, she's my eyes and my mind and my ears and everything. I love her a lot. I love both my children.
When was it taken?
This was taken in the 80s sometime.
Mm-hmm.
This is my son Larry Shilkov. He was born in California, Los Angeles, California. And next to him is his son JJ. He was born in Los Angeles.
When was this picture taken?
This picture was taken last year,
1994
1994,
in Los Angeles.
in Los Angeles. And that little one is my life. He's gorgeous. I love him. He's everything I wanted in my life. He's that baby. This is Jordan Jacob Shilkov, my grandson. They call him JJ. And on this picture, he's 1 year old, and he was born a year ago in December. And this is my precious little thing.
He was born in 1994.
94 in Woodland Hills.
And you don't like him very much.
I love him. I could eat him up. He's my precious thing. He's everything to me.
What do you hope for him?
Oh, he should grow up and never live through what I lived through. He should live in a country that's peace and have all the help. Just peace. No fights anymore.
It's wonderful that you came to this day.
Oh, this is the best day of my life, and he was born. Isn't he precious? Love it.
Certainly is.
Love that baby. And he calls me Bobby.